50 minutes. That's all it takes. 50 minutes of radical clarity, fierce decision-making, and unwavering focus to change the trajectory of the next 50 years of your life. Right now, you are standing at the edge of transformation. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. Most people waste decades wishing for a better future. But the truth is, destiny is not waiting for you, minute by minute. So here's the question. Can you give yourself just 50 minutes? Not 50 hours, not 50 days, just 50 intense, sacred, intentional minutes that could rewrite the rest of your life. Because in this moment, what you do, what you choose, will echo in the years to come. Time is the most democratic resource on earth. Everyone gets the same 24 hours in a day. Yet the outcomes people achieve with those hours differ drastically. The difference isn't in how much time people have, but how they use it. Some individuals live average lives over the course of 80 years, while others build empires, transform communities, and leave legacies in half that time. The key difference lies in a powerful principle. Intention amplifies time. When your actions are aligned with a clear purpose, a single hour can be more impactful than a year of unfocused effort. That's why some people can change their lives in a single decision, in a matter of moments, because they were deeply intentional in that moment. Most people drift through life reacting to things rather than designing them. They check their phones first thing in the morning, reply to messages, go through their daily routines, and collapse into bed wondering where the time went. There's no intention, no clarity, no power in how they use their time. And the result is a life that feels busy but empty. People wear stress and overwork like badges of honor, believing that if they're tired, they must be doing something important. But activity doesn't equal progress. Motion doesn't equal meaning. You can spend a decade being busy and still end up in the exact same place if you're not intentional about where intention is the laser that cuts through the fog. When you start your day with a clear purpose, when you sit down and decide what you're building, who you're becoming, and why it matters, time bends. What would normally take someone years to accomplish can begin collapsing into months. That's what happens when you combine focus with intention. And focus only becomes powerful when it's tied to something meaningful. You think of a magnifying glass under the sun. The light is always there, but when it's concentrated, it can burn through paper. The same is true with your time. Intention is what concentrates your energy so it can actually create breakthroughs. People often think they need more time, when in reality, they need more clarity. A person with a 1-hour window of full clarity and execution will outperform someone with a full day of distracted effort. The problem isn't time management, it's identity management. Who are you showing up as when time presents itself to you? Are you showing up as someone who is creating their future or someone who is surviving their present? When you bring intention to the table, you stop being at the mercy of your calendar and you start bending time around your mission. You stop wasting energy on meaningless tasks. You start saying no to what doesn't move the needle. You start feeling more alive because what you're doing matters. Every high-achieving person understands this. They don't let the day run them, they run the day. They guard their mornings like sacred ground. They don't let other people's chaos disrupt their focus. Why? Because they understand that a few powerful minutes used intentionally can change the course of their business, their relationships, their health, and ultimately their life. That's the difference between accidental living and purposeful living. One hopes time will bring something better. The other uses time to create something better. Intention doesn't mean perfection. It means direction. Even when things go wrong, even when obstacles show up, you know why you're doing what you're doing. That clarity gives you the strength to keep going when others quit. That's what makes your time sacred, not because it's long, but because it's full of meaning. When you live like this, you don't fear running out of time. You fear wasting it. We live in a world that is constantly loud. From the moment we wake up, there's a flood of notifications, messages, noise, and opinions demanding our attention. The mind never gets a moment to rest, to breathe, to think deeply. And yet, it is in the silence, those rare, undisturbed moments, that we hear the voice that matters most, our own. Silence creates clarity. It is in silence that truth rises to the surface. When you disconnect from the noise around you, you reconnect with the wisdom within you. That inner wisdom, the voice of your intuition, your spirit, your conscience. It speaks in whispers, not shouts. And when life is too loud, you miss it. You miss the guidance. You miss the answers. You miss the red flags and the green lights. You miss yourself. People spend their entire lives running from silence because silence forces them to face the things they've buried. That unspoken pain, the dreams they gave up on, the lies they tell themselves to make it through the day, those things begin to rise when the world gets quiet. But this discomfort is not a curse. It is the beginning of transformation. It's the body and soul signaling that something needs to be addressed, something needs to be healed, something needs to be changed. But if you never stop long enough to listen, you continue to build your life on shaky foundations. You work jobs you hate. You stay in relationships that drain you. You pretend to be someone you're not, all because you never gave yourself permission to be still. Silence isn't emptiness, it's alignment. It reconnects you with your original thoughts, your real priorities, your true self. In the silence, you realize how much of your life is being driven by expectations that aren't even yours. You start to notice how much of your energy goes into pleasing people, proving yourself, or avoiding fear. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You begin the work of realignment, slowly removing what's false and returning to what's real. This is why the most powerful moments in people's lives often come during solitude. It's why some of the greatest ideas, decisions, and breakthroughs happen when someone takes a walk alone, sits quietly in a room, or simply turns off the world for a few minutes. Silence is not laziness, it's not weakness, it's not disconnection, it's discipline, it's courage, it's choosing to unplug from the chaos long enough to remember what actually matters. The people who achieve clarity are not the ones who consume the most information, they are the ones who create the most space. They make time to listen inwardly, they protect their mental environment, they understand that wisdom doesn't scream, it waits for and that invitation comes through stillness. You don't need to disappear into a mountain for 40 days to hear the truth. You need 15 minutes a day with no noise, no phone, no performance, just presence. In that space, the fog begins to clear. You stop reacting and start reflecting. You stop chasing and start choosing. You stop asking for direction from everyone else and realize you've had it inside you all along. The noise outside you has been drowning out the guidance inside you. But once you make silence a practice, clarity becomes your default. You start moving through life with purpose instead of panic. You stop getting lost in other people's stories and start writing your own. Transformation doesn't begin with a new habit, a new job, or a new environment. It begins with a new identity. Until you change the way you see yourself, every external change you try to make will be temporary. You can force discipline for a little while. You can push yourself through routines. You can even make progress. But if the internal narrative hasn't shifted, your old identity will eventually pull you back. That's why people so often return to their past patterns. Even after getting results, they never upgraded their internal image. Identity is the thermostat of your life. You can turn up the heat for a while with motivation, but if your internal setting is still stuck at a lower level, it'll eventually cool back down. Who you believe you are at your core will always determine the actions you allow yourself to take. This is why it's not enough to say, I want to be successful or I want to be confident. You have to become the kind of person who lives success and embodies confidence. That shift is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about returning to the version of you that's been buried under doubt, fear, and conditioning. Every breakthrough in life starts with the moment you say, I'm not that person anymore. When you say it with conviction, when you say it not just with your mouth, but with your mindset, your energy changes. You stop tolerating what you used to settle for. You stop accepting versions of yourself that shrink just to fit into places you've outgrown. People often believe change starts from the outside in, but it's actually the other way around. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. That's why someone with a goal but no belief in themselves will always sabotage their progress. The person who says, I'm just not good with money, will keep mismanaging finances no matter how much they earn. The person who believes they're always going to be the underdog will stay small, no matter how many opportunities they get. The belief system shapes the behavior, not the other way around. So if you want to change your behavior for good, you must upgrade the identity that drives it. Creating a new identity is not about lying to yourself. It's about aligning with your potential. It's about choosing who you want to become and acting as if that version of you already exists, because it does. The potential is already inside you. The version of you that is focused, driven, healed, and confident isn't a fantasy. It's a future self waiting for you to wake up and choose it. And the bridge between your current self and that future self is built with decisions, not dreams. Every time you choose a habit that reflects your higher identity, you reinforce the belief. Every time you speak life over yourself instead of limitation, you rewrite your internal script. Change becomes sustainable when your identity and your actions are in harmony. The inner and outer worlds begin to match. You no longer feel like you're forcing growth. It starts to feel natural. You don't need willpower when it becomes who you are. You don't need to constantly push yourself when what you're doing aligns with the person you see yourself as. That's why identity is the root. When you shift the root, the fruit changes. When you decide who you are, really decide, and commit to acting in alignment with that, life starts to bend in your favor. You begin to attract new people, new habits, new energy, and new opportunities, not because the world changed, but because you. When you write your manifesto, you're not just setting goals or making a wish list. You're declaring war on everything that has ever tried to keep you small. A manifesto isn't about vague hopes. It's a bold, detailed declaration of who you are becoming and the life you are committed to building. It's a written vow to yourself, something you can see and return to, something that brings your vision out of your imagination and plants it into your reality. But without a vision, people drift. They chase distractions, fall into routines, and settle for survival. But when your vision is clear, your decisions become sharper, your focus becomes stronger, and your energy has a place to go. A written manifesto gives your mind a blueprint to work from. It trains your brain to see the world differently, to notice opportunities, to silence doubt, and to act with courage when it would be easier to retreat. Your manifesto isn't supposed to be pretty. It's supposed to be honest. It's supposed to move you emotionally. It should feel like a truth that shakes you when you read it, a reminder of what's at stake, a mirror showing you who you're meant to be. It's not enough to carry your vision in your head. That's where dreams go to die, buried under distractions, stress, and fear. Putting it on paper brings it to life. It becomes visible, tangible. It becomes something you can declare every day until your reality catches up with your belief. Anti-life worldview. Most people never take the time to define their future in this way. They react to life instead of designing it. But writing a manifesto forces you to slow down and get honest with yourself. Who are you, really? What do you stand for? What are you no longer willing to tolerate? What does your best life actually look like? Not just on the surface, but deep in your soul. What are the habits, relationships, environments, and beliefs that support this life? And which ones are quietly stealing it from you? These are the questions your manifesto answers, not just intellectually, but emotionally. When you start writing with that level of depth, you tap into a version of yourself that is unafraid and unlimited. You don't write your manifesto as the person you are. You write it from the perspective of the person you are becoming. You speak it into existence. You bring it forward from the future into the present. With language, the more you read it, speak it, and live by it, the more your subconscious mind begins to rewire itself, the more your energy aligns with your vision. And that alignment is what activates momentum. Every time you read your manifesto, it reminds you of the promise you made. It pulls you out of excuses. It drags you back to your mission. When the world gets loud, when self-doubt creeps in, when things feel heavy, your manifesto becomes your anchor. It's a voice louder than your fear because it was written from your truth. It's your spiritual armor, your personal revolution on paper. It doesn't just inspire you, it commands you to rise. Doesn't matter where you are right now. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to make a decision. Who do you want to be from this point forward? Not based on your past, not based on what people expect from you, but based on the deep calling that refuses to be ignored any longer. Writing your manifesto is the first act of building the life you were born to lead. Not someday, starting now. Most people live in reaction mode. They wake up and immediately respond to whatever grabs their attention first. Emails, notifications, headlines, other people's demands. From that point on, they are no longer in control of their day. They're simply managing chaos. But the truth is, you can't create a powerful life from a reactive state. You have to take back your mornings. The first hour of your day sets the emotional tone, mental clarity, and energetic direction for everything that follows. If you start in panic, the rest of the day feels like catch-up. If you start in peace and purpose, you move through the day with strength and clarity. That first hour is the most sacred and untapped time most people waste. When you design your morning with intention, you're not just being productive, you're programming your mind to win. Greatness begins before the world wakes up. That early morning stillness holds a special kind of power. It's quiet, undisturbed, free of influence, and full of potential. In that space, you can hear your own thoughts, feel your own energy, and connect to your highest self. The early morning is when you step out of survival and into design. You get to choose your emotional state before the world tries to decide it for you. The way you start your day becomes the way you live your life. You can either repeat the habits of distraction and delay, or you can replace them with routines that build vision, strength, and direction. When you claim your morning, you train your brain to focus. You begin with rituals that reinforce who you are becoming, whether that's journaling your vision, working out to train your discipline, meditating to create inner stillness, or reading something that stretches your mindset. You're doing more than checking off boxes. You're aligning yourself with the identity of the person you want to be. You're moving from default to design. That repetition over time doesn't just improve your mood, it builds your future. The compound effect of consistent, intentional mornings is undeniable. One good morning might not change your life, but 300 will. People say they don't have time, but the truth is they haven't decided to prioritize it. The way you treat your morning tells the truth about what you believe you're worth. If you constantly give your first energy to the world, it's because deep down you haven't believed your vision deserves it. But when you decide your mission matters, you start protecting the first part of your day like it's gold, because it is. That first hour is where your direction is set, your inner power is activated, and your clarity is sharpened. You stop waiting for motivation and start creating it. This is not about perfection or extreme routines. It's about reclaiming a part of your day where your power hasn't yet been drained. It's about using that window to pour back into yourself before life starts taking from you. The world isn't going to hand you peace, purpose, or focus. You have to generate those things on purpose. And that starts before your feet hit the ground. If you want to be a person of focus, discipline, vision, and strength, start your day as that person. Don't wait to become them after things go right. Start from that place and watch how life begins to respond. The first hour of your day is the most underused power source in your life. It's not about being a morning person. It's about being a mission-driven person. And mission-driven people don't wait for life to happen. They create life on purpose, beginning the moment they open their eyes. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year because they're stuck in a constant loop of busyness without direction. Productivity without priority is just motion without progress. You might feel exhausted by the end of the day, but that doesn't mean you've moved forward. The difference between a person who builds a legacy and one who just survives is simple. Clarity. Clarity isn't a bonus. It's a requirement. Without it, your energy is scattered, your time is wasted, and your life is reactive. With clarity, your time becomes an investment. Every hour has a purpose. Every task becomes a brick in the foundation you're building. That's the power of defining your top 3 daily priorities. Not 10, not a to-do list that stretches into exhaustion, just 3 things that actually move your life forward. Because when everything is important, nothing is. Success is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. You don't need to fill your schedule to prove your ambition. You need to align your actions with your vision. Every day, before the world distracts you, ask yourself, what are the 3 most impactful things I can do today that align with who I'm becoming? These aren't random errands or low-impact tasks. They're decisions, habits, or actions that multiply your growth. That can be a deep work session on your craft, a workout that builds your mental toughness, or an uncomfortable conversation that clears space for peace. The point isn't how big the task is. It's how aligned it is with your highest self. Doing 3 aligned things a day for the next 365 days will take you further than doing 100 scattered tasks that lead nowhere. When you give your focus to a few vital actions, you eliminate the noise. You reclaim your mental bandwidth. You reduce decision fatigue. You stop reacting to the urgency of other people and start responding to the importance of your mission. And that shift is what separates the driven from the distracted. Driven people don't do more, they do what matters over and over again. They make the invisible, they turn intention into results, not by chasing everything, but by committing to a few things with excellence. It's not that they have more hours, it's that they use their hours with precision. The mind thrives on direction. When you wake up without a target, you default to distractions. But when your top 3 are clear, your brain filters out the noise. It looks for patterns, people, and possibilities that support your goals. That's not magic. That's focus. Focus builds momentum, and momentum is the silent force behind transformation. One focused day leads to a focused week leads to stronger habits. Stronger habits build identity, and that identity shapes a life of purpose, achievement, and peace. It all starts with clarity. Don't confuse activity with progress. Stop trying to impress yourself with how much you can cram into a calendar. Impress yourself with how consistent you can be in executing what actually matters. It's better to do 3 powerful things that build your future than 30 things that simply maintain your present. Discipline isn't about doing more. It's about saying no to what doesn't matter so you can say yes to what does. And that discipline is easier when your clarity is stronger than your cravings for comfort or distraction. If you really want to elevate your life, simplify your approach. Wake up, get clear, choose your 3 priorities, commit to them fully, and then let everything else fall away. You'll be amazed at how much power is unlocked when your focus is no longer divided and your energy is no longer wasted. That's how extraordinary results are created, not by force, but by clarity, practiced. Your environment is silently shaping you every single day, whether you realize it or not. It influences your mindset, your energy, your focus, and ultimately your future. Most people think change starts internally, and to some degree that's true. But what they overlook is how external conditions are either fueling or fighting their growth. If your environment is filled with negativity, noise, clutter, drama, distractions, or people who drain your energy, then no matter how much you want to evolve, you'll always be swimming upstream. Change becomes harder, not because you lack motivation, but because you're stuck in a space that's not designed for the version of you that you're becoming. You cannot build a powerful future in a weak environment. You have to audit where you are and who you're around, then adjust every detail to match your highest standard. Everything around you is either reinforcing your old identity or supporting your new one. Look around. What do your surroundings say about you? Do they reflect discipline, clarity, and intention? Or do they mirror distraction, chaos, and indecision? That question alone can tell you more about why you feel stuck than any journal or book ever could. Your space is a mirror of your mind. A cluttered space equals a cluttered head. A loud environment equals a restless heart. But when you start making changes to the space you live in, work in, and interact in, you begin to send a signal to your subconscious that you're stepping into a new standard. You start building an environment that holds you accountable, inspires you, and protects your energy. That kind of intentional design can be the difference between surviving and rising. But it's not just about physical space. It's also about your emotional and relational space. Who are you giving access to? Who gets your time, your thoughts, your energy? Because not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. You have to be ruthless with your boundaries. You can't let dream killers, drama-driven people, or energy vampires dictate the climate of your life. Just because someone's been in your life a long time doesn't mean they belong in your next chapter. Growth demands separation. Sometimes that means saying no. Sometimes that means cutting ties. And sometimes that means loving someone from a distance because their presence costs you too much peace. Your digital environment matters too. What are you consuming on your phone, your feed, your playlist, your screens? These micro misses are programming your mind all day long. If you're constantly watching chaos, comparison, or mindless content, then you're training your brain to stay small, distracted, and reactive. But when you feed it inspiration, education, and elevation, you begin to rewire your instincts. You start thinking bigger. You start noticing new patterns. You start acting from clarity, not confusion, because you've decided to become the curator of your life, not just a consumer in it. It's not always about making massive changes overnight. Sometimes it starts with one drawer, one room, one unfollow, one conversation, one decision to shift your energy toward the environment that empowers you. And once you make that shift, even in small ways, your inner world starts responding. You feel lighter. You think clearer. You show up with more power because you've removed the friction that was secretly slowing you down. You've stripped away the invisible weights that were keeping you stuck in old patterns. Designing an environment that matches your vision isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your environment is the most powerful system of all. If you want to change your life, don't just look within, look around. Because everything you allow into your space is either helping you evolve or holding you back. Choose wisely because your future depends on it. Every goal you set, every dream you have, and every vision you create relies on your ability to follow through. It's easy to start something with enthusiasm, to get excited about new ideas and projects, but the real power comes from staying consistent. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who fall short isn't talent, it's persistence. Success isn't determined by how strong your beginning is. It's determined by your ability to stay on the course even when the journey gets hard, even when distractions show up, even when you doubt yourself. It's your capacity to keep moving forward one step at a time, even when you don't feel like it. Consistency is what creates momentum, and momentum is what leads to mastery. Too many people abandon their dreams prematurely. They start with great energy, make some initial progress, but when obstacles arise or when the excitement fades, they lose steam and move on to the next shiny object. This cycle of start and stop is the killer of dreams. Progress doesn't come from sporadic bursts of effort. It comes from showing up day after day, no matter how you feel. Every day you choose to keep going, you compound your efforts, even if those efforts seem small in the moment. You don't need to take massive leaps every day. You just need to take consistent steps. Small, deliberate actions add up over time and eventually turn into giant strides. Building a habit of consistency requires a mindset shift. You have to let go of the idea that success happens overnight or that the perfect circumstances will arrive to motivate you. There will never be a perfect time. The conditions will never be ideal. But the people who achieve their dreams are the ones who don't wait for the perfect moment. They make every moment the perfect moment to take action. They don't rely on motivation alone. Motivation is fleeting. What lasts is discipline. Discipline means doing what you said you would do even when you don't feel like it. It means creating routines that support your goals and sticking to them even when distractions or doubt try to pull you off course. The key to being consistent is understanding that the journey will not always feel exciting. There will be days when progress feels slow or when the results don't match the effort you're putting in. But real success is built on those quiet, seemingly insignificant moments where you show up even when the applause is absent. It's in the moments when no one is watching, when there's no external validation, and when you're working alone. Those are the moments that matter the most, because they're the moments that build your character, your resilience, and your ability to push through adversity. Consistency also means being patient with yourself. Progress often comes in waves. Some days you'll feel like you're moving forward at full speed, and other days it will feel like you're stuck in place. But it's in those slower days, in those times when you don't feel like you're moving fast enough, that your foundation is being built. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up even when you're not seeing immediate results, knowing that every effort is planting a seed for your future. When you start to value consistency over intensity, you begin to understand that success doesn't require hustle at all costs. It requires focus, intention, and small, steady efforts over a long period of time. You're not looking for quick wins. You're looking for lasting change, and lasting change happens when you commit to showing up day in and day out, no matter the circumstances. When you make consistency a part of your identity, you transform from someone who starts things and abandons them to someone who sees every project, every goal, and every dream through to completion. The true power of achieving any goal lies in your ability to take massive action. Most people get stuck in the planning phase, endlessly strategizing, researching, and preparing for the right moment. They spend so much time thinking about what they want to do that they never actually take the first step. But here's the reality. You can plan all you want, but nothing will happen until you move. Action is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. Without it, you remain in the land of intention, where nothing ever materializes. When you take massive action, you don't wait for perfect conditions or for every detail to be in place. You act in spite of uncertainty. You make the decision to move forward even when you don't have all the answers. Taking action means overcoming the fear of failure, the fear of making mistakes, and the fear of being judged. These fears paralyze many people into inaction. But those who succeed don't let fear dictate their behavior. They act anyway. The first step is always the hardest, but it's also the most important. When you take that step, you break the cycle of overthinking and start building momentum. Every action you take is a small victory that reinforces your belief in yourself. The more you act, the more confident you become, and the more you realize that success isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to make the next move, even when the path is unclear. Massive action isn't about doing everything at once. It's about pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, beyond what feels easy and safe. It's about setting yourself in motion and continuing to move forward even when it feels challenging. When you take bold, massive actions, you create ripples of change. Those actions lead to new opportunities, new lessons, and new perspectives. They allow you to gather feedback from the world and adjust as necessary. Taking action gives you the chance to learn, grow, and refine your approach. Without action, you're left in a vacuum, full of potential, but unable to manifest any results. Taking massive action also means being relentless in your pursuit of your goals. It's not about working hard for a few days or weeks and then taking a break. It's about continuously pushing forward even when the excitement fades or when you encounter setbacks. People who succeed are not the ones who never face obstacles. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes a stepping stone, and every setback strengthens their resolve. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They create motivation by showing up and taking action no matter what. Additionally, massive action requires a level of consistency that can't be ignored. It's easy to start something with enthusiasm, but it's your ability to maintain that energy and drive over time that separates you from those who give up too soon. This level of commitment shows the world that you are serious about your goals. When you demonstrate that you're willing to keep taking action regardless of the circumstances, you begin to build a reputation for yourself as someone who doesn't quit, someone who follows through. This reputation attracts opportunities, support, and people who share your vision and want to help you along your journey. The key to massive action is to stop overthinking, stop waiting for the perfect time, and start now. Don't let perfectionism hold you back from taking the first step. Progress, not perfection, is what drives success. You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to start. Once you begin taking action, you'll figure out the rest as you go. In fact, action often leads to clarity. The more you do, the more you learn about yourself, your goals, and the strategies that work for you. Each step you take brings you closer to the life you want to create, and eventually you'll look back and see how far you've come simply because you kept moving forward. Your ability to respond to adversity and challenges is a defining factor in how far you'll go in life. It's easy to feel motivated when everything's going smoothly, when your plans are unfolding as expected and your efforts are yielding results. But life isn't always predictable, and it's in the times of struggle, failure, and unexpected difficulties that your true character is revealed. How you choose to respond to adversity is far more important than the adversity itself. Every setback is an opportunity for growth, and every challenge is a test of your resilience. The people who rise above are the ones who see obstacles as part of the journey, not as roadblocks that stop them in their tracks. When faced with difficulty, most people's first instinct is to react emotionally. It's easy to get discouraged, to feel defeated, or to give up when things aren't going as planned. But that's where the real opportunity lies, in taking a step back and choosing how to respond. Instead of allowing yourself to be consumed by frustration, fear, or self-doubt, you can choose to stay calm, assess the situation, and focus on what you can control. This shift in mindset is what separates those who succeed from those who quit. It's the ability to keep moving forward, even when things aren't going according to plan. The key to responding to adversity with strength is to develop mental toughness. Mental toughness isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about developing the ability to stay focused, disciplined, and calm in the face of challenges. It's about being able to maintain your composure when things don't go as expected and continuing to push toward your goals despite the obstacles in your path. This kind of resilience doesn't happen overnight. It's built through repeated experiences of facing challenges head-on, learning from failures, and using each setback as a stepping stone to something greater. Another important part of responding to adversity is to stay solution-focused. When problems arise, it's easy to focus on what's wrong, to dwell on the frustration or disappointment. But successful people don't stay stuck in the problem. They focus on the solution. They ask themselves, what can I do right now to move forward? And how can I make the best of this situation? Instead of complaining or looking for someone to blame, they take responsibility and seek ways to overcome the obstacle. This proactive mindset is one of the most powerful tools you can develop. By focusing on solutions instead of problems, you create momentum even in the toughest situations. Your response to adversity also shapes your self-belief. Each time you face a difficult situation and choose to push through, you build confidence in your own abilities. You prove to yourself that you are capable of handling whatever life throws your way. This builds a cycle of confidence. The more you overcome, the stronger you become. And as you grow stronger, you begin to take on bigger challenges because you know you can handle them. It's also important to remember that not all setbacks are permanent. Many times, difficulties are temporary and serve as lessons that push you in a new direction. Life doesn't always give you what you want, but it often gives you what you need. Challenges force you to grow, to think differently, and to adapt. What may seem like a failure today could be the key to your success tomorrow. It's about seeing every challenge as part of the bigger picture, understanding that these moments of hardship are essential for your personal growth and eventual success. Resilience also involves knowing when to ask for help. No one achieves success entirely alone, and recognizing when you need support is a sign of strength, not weakness. Seeking advice, guidance, or mentorship can help you gain new perspectives and strategies to overcome challenges. It's okay to lean on others when you need to, but always remember that your ability to bounce back ultimately depends on your mindset. How you choose to react in the face of adversity determines how much you will grow and how far you will go. Mastering the art of self-discipline is one of the most crucial factors in achieving success in any area of life. It's easy to get excited about a goal or a dream, but it's your ability to stay disciplined and follow through with consistent effort that determines whether or not you will achieve it. Discipline isn't something that comes naturally to most people. It's not about having an iron will or being perfect. It's about being able to stay focused and committed even when the initial excitement fades, when distractions arise, and when the work feels tough. True discipline isn't about resisting temptation or depriving yourself. It's about making the right choices consistently, even when no one is watching. Discipline starts with making a decision, and that decision has to be rooted in a strong sense of why you want to achieve your goals. If you don't have a clear vision of what you want and why you want it, it's easy to stray off course when the road gets tough. But when you are deeply connected to your why, discipline becomes easier to maintain. It gives you the strength to push through the hard moments, to do the things you don't feel like doing, and to stay consistent even when the results aren't immediate. When you know why your goals matter to you, it fuels your self-discipline, turning each decision into a step closer to your vision. One of the most important aspects of discipline is developing the ability to delay gratification. In today's world, we are surrounded by distractions, social media, entertainment, quick fixes, and immediate rewards. But those who succeed are the ones who can hold off on short-term pleasure in order to work toward long-term fulfillment. It's whether it's choosing to work on your goals instead of scrolling through your phone, or saying no to the temptations that pull you away from your objectives. Discipline means prioritizing what matters most over what feels good in the moment. Every time you choose long-term results over immediate satisfaction, you reinforce your ability to stay disciplined. Self-discipline also requires creating routines and systems that make it easier for you to stay on track. When you have a plan, a set of habits, or a schedule that aligns with your goals, discipline becomes a matter of simply following through. The more you automate your actions, the less effort it takes to stay disciplined. For example, if you want to write a book, setting a goal to write a certain number of words every day at a specific time makes it easier to stay on track. You remove the need for willpower by building a structure that keeps you accountable. This consistency becomes the foundation for your success. You don't rely on motivation alone because motivation can fluctuate, but discipline fueled by routine becomes your anchor. Building self-discipline also means holding yourself accountable for your actions. It's easy to make excuses or blame external circumstances when things don't go according to plan, but self-discipline requires taking full responsibility for your results. If you miss a workout, don't complete a task, or fall behind on a project, it's up to you to recognize that setback and get back on track. Rather than beating yourself up or making excuses, you acknowledge the mistake and recommit to doing better. True discipline is about getting back on track quickly and not allowing a single misstep to derail your entire journey. Another critical aspect of discipline is learning to embrace discomfort. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone, and the more disciplined you are, the more you are willing to step outside of it. Whether it's pushing through mental fatigue, battling procrastination, or staying focused despite distractions, self-discipline allows you to keep moving forward even when you don't feel like it. It's about doing what needs to be done, regardless of how difficult or uncomfortable it feels in the moment. The ability to face discomfort head on is what separates those who achieve great things from those who give up too soon. Self-discipline also requires mental strength. It's about training your mind to stay focused and avoid falling into patterns of self-sabotage. Often, our biggest challenges are internal. Our fears, doubts, and insecurities can trick us into thinking we're not capable of achieving our goals. But a disciplined mind learns to override these negative thoughts and stay focused on the task at hand. It requires developing a mindset that is unshakable, one that doesn't give in to distractions or excuses. Over time, this mental toughness becomes the bedrock of your discipline. The more you cultivate mental strength, the easier it becomes to stay disciplined and achieve whatever you set your mind. And one of the most powerful tools you can develop in life is the ability to maintain focus. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Our attention is constantly pulled in multiple directions. Social media, emails, phone notifications, personal issues, and the endless stream of information available at our fingertips. In such a fast-paced environment, staying focused can feel like an impossible task. But focus is the foundation of success. Without it, your efforts are scattered and your progress becomes slow or non-existent. Focus allows you to put your energy into the most important tasks and consistently move toward your goals. To master focus, you first need to understand its importance. Focus is not just about avoiding distractions. It's about putting all your energy into one thing at a time and giving it your full attention. When you're focused, you eliminate the mental clutter that comes from trying to multitask or constantly shifting your attention. This single-mindedness allows you to be more productive, make fewer mistakes, and complete tasks more efficiently. People who excel in life are not necessarily the ones who work the hardest. They are often the ones who can focus on their priorities and consistently perform at a high level, even when the world around them is chaotic. Achieving focus begins with clarity. Before you can focus on something, you need to be clear about what you want to accomplish. Without a clear sense of purpose, it's easy to drift from task to task, never fully committing to any one thing. Your goals, both short-term and long-term, should be specific and defined. Once you know exactly what you're working toward, it becomes much easier to maintain focus because your actions will always have a clear direction. When you are clear about your objectives, you can filter out distractions and stay aligned with what really matters. Another critical aspect of focus is time management. One of the biggest challenges to maintaining focus is poor time management. If you don't schedule your time or prioritize tasks, you end up wasting precious hours on things that don't bring you closer to your goals. Time management allows you to allocate time to what's important and avoid the temptation of less significant activities. Setting clear deadlines and breaking down tasks into manageable chunks can help you stay on track. When you have a plan in place, it's easier to concentrate because you know exactly what needs to be done and when. One of the most significant barriers to focus is the constant pull of distractions. We live in an age where we are conditioned to seek immediate gratification and constant stimulation. Every ping of a notification or a new update on your phone is designed to pull your attention away from the task at hand. To stay focused, you need to create an environment that minimizes these distractions. This might mean turning off notifications, setting boundaries with people who interrupt you, or creating a dedicated workspace free from unnecessary distractions. It's about controlling your environment so that it works for you, not against you. The more you can protect your focus, the more productive you will be. Focus also requires self-discipline. It's easy to get distracted when we don't feel motivated or when the task feels difficult or boring.